Hello, welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing podcast, or Periscope, or however you're joining us for this look ahead to an excellent Saturday afternoon's racing, which features, of course, the King George and Queen Elizabeth Stakes and Enable is back for a little bit more off the back of her stunning win in the Queen's Gambit. And she's looking a very difficult filly to beat, but it is one perhaps of the best King George fields we've seen amass in recent years. I wonder what the guys think about that. Deasy alongside Sam Turner as well, who you can see. And actually, first of all, it'd be remiss of us not to mention an absent horse, an absent friend to the racing world, who was absolutely blistering in her 3-year-old season last year. And we now know that Sia Class sadly lost her battle with colic, Sam. And look, it's a real shame, not just that she's not lining up in this race, that she's no longer with us, but she was quite brilliant while we had her, and the outpouring just shows the way she fought her way into all of our hearts, I think, in the racing world. What was a performance that really summed her up for you?
Well, there was a number of them, wasn't there? Obviously, the arc performance behind Enable was one of the most probably unfortunate and unlucky defeats that we've seen in that race for some time, and there's been a good few. Thankfully, I was on course to see her win the Yorkshire Oaks when she sort of destroyed her field that day with a blistering turn of foot. I thought she was just exceptional, and you don't see many, unfair to say, you don't see many wow performances when you're sort of working at the races. You sort of get a bit, I don't know, they become a bit of much of a muchness, a lot of racing, really. But the fact that she showed such that acceleration, that change of gear that day, I thought that was a tremendous performance. So
I know I think sometimes the more, and it's great that we work the way we do, and it's a privilege to work in racing, but not that you become immune to it, but you're more open to regular performances of greatness, and it takes a really special one to make you stop and jaw drop and go, wow, it was a privilege to be there. That I think that was definitely one of them.
Well, we live in an age, don't we, where everything is fantastic and fabulous. If and horses might win by a length or two, etc. But I mean, really, her standout performance was the defeat in the Arc. Really, to overcome or to virtually overcome what she did in that race was exceptional. It's a shame that she couldn't overcome this condition, which is deadly, really, for racehorses, and has claimed her life, because her value as a broodmare, and the longevity she would have had in that sphere would have been marvellous as well, to see, the effect that she stamped on her progeny coming forward. So that is really sad, really. I mean, yes, a racing career ending, we can get over that, but not to see, what she would have left behind is particularly sad, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember being at Newbury for Super Sprint Day last year, and everything that had happened on Super Sprint Day was great. And I think there was a band playing after Newbury that day, as they often have on that day. And they had the big screen up, and just towards the end of the day, they showed the Irish Oaks, and they showed James Doyle sat pretty about 8 lengths off him and just going around that field. It was the ride, it was the performance from her, that sort of coming of age performance. And I thought that was just really special. Even though we weren't there, we were watching on a big screen, and I tell you, there wasn't it was a huge crowd, not all of them racing fans necessarily, because a lot were there for the music, and that's how it works. But all of them stopped and went, wow, look at that. I loved that. Dees, what about you for Sia Class? Which was the best?
I was 100% the Irish Oaks, the colour. That was kind of the first real race I saw her, and that was real seat of the pants, got your heart beating stuff. It was an absolutely brilliant ride, and what a horse she was then. And I mean, that was the day it worked. It didn't quite work for her at the Arc then, just coming late. And I think the saddest thing about it is that we're not going to see her repeat of that. We're not going to see her take on the Enable of the Arc again this year, because I know that was where all roads were leading, and I think that's the saddest thing about it, that we're kind of robbed of that spectacle and the excitement of that.
Yeah, and we might have seen her at Ascot on Saturday afternoon. It's not to be, and of course condolences to all connected with Sia Class, but it does mean that Enable is stronger, really, I suppose, than she would have been without that nemesis Sia Class in there. What are the prices looking like at the moment, Dees, for the King George on Saturday at Ascot?
So Enable is a fairly strong favourite now at 1.65, which has drifted a small bit overnight, but not that much, 1.65. Crystal Ocean is 4.2. Then you have Anthony Van Dyke is 10.0. Defoe is 15.5. Wally Guys is 18.5. And then it's all big prices, the rest.
Sam, we have a Japan Cup winner. We have a Dual Arc winner. We have got a horse rated £2 superior to that Dual Arc winner, Enable, in the form of Crystal Ocean. We've got Defoe's 2 from his last 2, including that Group 1 at Epsom. So we've got a stellar field. Discuss Enable rated 125, Crystal Ocean rated 127.
Well, I'll leave this sort of discussion to the ratings boys. Really, I'm afraid that I'm a complete novice when it comes to actually rating racehorses. I don't tend to get involved in those sort of arguments. They're a bit above my pay grade, really. But yeah, obviously he's probably raced a little bit more often and raced probably in the heat of battle a little bit more. I know she's won 2 Arcs, etc., and she's, she has been all over the world challenging some of the top class middle distance horses of current times. But her performances have perhaps been a little bit infrequent, and it's very interesting to see how they do rate them and how they do bet them, and it just proves, I think, in some respects, that putting a number on horses doesn't actually point out that Enable has got, you can't build an X factor into a number of a rating for me, and she's got that sort of explosive class and X factor style about her that perhaps Crystal Ocean hasn't. He just gets things done, doesn't he? He's a real doer. He's become a professional winner as he's got older, like a lot of Sir Michael Stout's middle distance horses do. They're given the time as young horses to progress and mature, and we're seeing the full benefit of that with Crystal Ocean now. And over sort of any trip, any ground, he's very, very versatile. And at least Enable is now proving that she's along those lines as well. And Connection should be commended for keeping her in training as well. And we saw the benefit of that, didn't we, in the Eclipse, where she moved through the race so powerfully and comfortably beat Magical, who I thought, because she was battle hardened, she'd had the run, and she was running over 10 furlongs on fast ground, had a real live chance of lowering the colours of Enable, but she turned her away and just proved what she is, a superstar.
And I suppose you've got a good form line with Magical through the both of them. Enable beat Magical, of course, carrying the same weight by 3/4 of a length. Crystal Ocean beat Magical at Ascot in the Prince of Wales by 1.25 lengths, giving some weight away. So in that sense, perhaps some might look at it and say, well, hang on, Crystal Ocean, 4.0, whatever it is, fair enough. But you can't hand on heart argue that you can see Crystal Ocean beating Enable here, for me. But then it comes down to prices. Perhaps he's going to get to a stage where you might say, oh, hang on, I could take that. For me, I couldn't just yet. I think that's about right. And if I was going to have a play in the race, and I haven't yet, and ultimately I'm not certain I will, given the quality we've got on show, I'm happy to sit back and watch. But it could be in the place market at something at a bigger price if it turns into a real test. Because one thing that looks likely is there is a lot of pace on. You've got a couple potentially Aidan O'Brien pacemakers in the race. You've got Salowin, who likes to go forward and get on with things as well. So they mightn't hang around here. That's for sure. Dees, what do you think?
Yeah, it's not really a big betting race. I'd be the same as it'd be a place bet and something. I think Enable is, even at 1.6, she's probably a bit of value. But if you had to back one out of the front two, it would have to be Crystal Ocean, just as something happened. I think he's a much improved horse this year. I think he has improved on last year, but I couldn't see him getting to Enable. I think that she's an absolute superstar, and the weight alone just gives her that extra bit of advantage as well. Like I think she should win and win easily. We don't have place market prices up yet, but again, there was definitely a bit of juice now. Like I was looking at Magic Wand is 85.0 to win. So you'll be hopefully getting about 16.0, maybe 20.0 in the 3-place market. I could see her running a big enough race. I think she's very consistent this year, and Aidan O'Brien, he can pull out a bit of improvement. The Diesels after 4 or 5 runs. So at a massive price, maybe Magic Wand to place at 20.0 or something. I think that might be the bet I'd have.
Course and distance winner, Magic Wand could be one of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Angles in there, cheap pieces on for the first time. Come on, Sam, give us a play. You got anything?
Well, I'll ask you this question, guy. Does it worry you at all that Enable comes off very fast ground over 10 furlongs at Sandown 3 weeks ago, and then goes to Ascot and takes on a completely different level of competition? Does that worry you at all? That she was 4-6 to win the Eclipse. She's 4-6 to win a very good renewal. Of the King George against a Derby winner, Crystal Ocean, who's the best horse in the world, Japan Cup winners, Defoe, Coronation Cup. I mean, the strength in depth here is completely different to that Eclipse, isn't it?
there have been things that the reason that I'm less concerned about that is because I've doubted her in the past. So I doubted her in the September Stakes, I think it's called, at Kempton. I doubted her a little bit in the Arc because it was just her second start. Definitely doubted her last time in the Coronet. I sort of given up doubting, but I know what you mean. You could argue that the price she is now, strong odds on, it could still be argued it's her toughest test to date, given it's only her second start back. But she's sort of answered all those questions. And, I probably have more doubts on quick ground at Sandown back in trip last time than I do here if it does turn into a test. I just remember when she won this race a couple of years back, and it was an absolute slosh pit.
I was there that day. It was miserable.
It didn't stop raining all day.
No.
And yet she answered all those questions. So she's just, again, it's all price relative, but she's never going to be silly. And what she is now, I certainly couldn't oppose her, which is why I feel that Crystal Ocean as a bet to win is a very difficult bet for me to take. And I'd rather go for a...
My only slight reservation, and you do have to have all your ducks in a row, don't you, to bet at 4 to 6 in such a strong race, is that I thought she got an absolutely blinding tactical ride at Sandown. Whereas I wasn't sure that Magical quite got the same level of ride. I'm not saying Ryan Moore did anything wrong, but Frankie Dettori was just alive to all that could have happened in that Sandown race and was very switched on from the gate. The only problem is if you want to take a Naval on, Frankie's now riding at his favourite track on his favourite racehorse, and he's going to be equally switched on. Now she's drawn in 11, which I think is probably better than being drawn in 1, because at least that gives Frankie options. Does he go forward and sit right in behind the likes of Salowin and Magic Wand or Norway if they go on, or does he just take back and just try and get some cover? So if you're in 1, you have your mind made up for you, unfortunately. Especially on this round track over a mile and a half, it can be very awkward. But at least he has got 1 or 2 options there. Doyler is in 9 in Crystal Ocean. Now he can be ridden any which way, can't he? Go forward or he can sit in. And I'm a massive fan of Crystal Ocean, and it's going to take a lot for me to go with Enable in this race, because I love the way that he just gets the job done. He's just a total and utter professional. Not that she isn't, because she's just become a winning machine, as we've all seen in recent years. But I do think the disparity in the prices is probably a little bit too marked for my liking, anyway.
But that's the point you hit on, isn't it? It's going to get to a point for some people where you're looking at the price and you're going, hang on, he's so consistent, he's so hardy, he's a bet. For me, the Anthony Van Dyke is I don't know where we are strength of the Derby at the moment. And I think it's very interesting. He's got first-time cheek pieces on, and all of Aidan O'Brien's runners will run in cheek pieces, a few of them for the first time. I don't really know what to make of that, but it's the fact here. But Anthony Van Dyke would have been better served by a stronger test in the Irish Derby. He did win the Derby, and I think he'll be ridden cold personally in a race where it looks like there's going to be plenty of pace. And he's one that getting £8 from Enable. Officially, he's rated 118. She's rated 125. He's £1 well in, chaps. But I obviously I'm being a bit silly saying that you're looking at those bare ratings and saying he's got an advantage over her. But if on the day there's double figures knocking around about him, that might be how I play it. At the moment, I'm foot off the gas, but he's one that could turn my head, perhaps.
The one thing you'll find, and Deasy will probably back this up, is that you'll get to probably post time, and unless the bookmakers at Ascot really have our pants down, there'll be very good horses at decent prices. Well, there are. I mean, you could back Volgeist at 17.0, even might even be 21.0. He's got 4 lengths to find with Crystal Ocean. He had a rather negative ride, perhaps, at Ascot. Over a mile and a half on better ground, he might well be a place contender. He's a very good quality horse, trained by an absolute genius. You're going to get some very good prices. Cheval Grand, you're going to get some very good prices about some very good horses. And we've seen, already this year at Ascot on the round track that the French can carry off a race of this nature at decent prices. We saw last week German horse winning one of the major sprints of the weekend. So I do think we can get a little bit sniffy about those horses coming across, and we get very wrapped up in our own, and we're quite parochial, and we sometimes just overlook one or two of these horses, there are big prices from other jurisdictions that look to have leading chances of causing a bit of a surprise.
Right, final thoughts then on the King George. I'll be completely honest, this isn't my betting heat of the weekend, but if Anthony Van Dyke gets to a double figures price, I could see myself playing him. And if Valgeist in the place market, again, is looking silly, then again, I could see that it's setting up to suit him. But I struggle to have, with conviction, seeing anything beating Enable, and I think her current price is about right. Sam Turner, your final thoughts on the King George?
She's trained by a genius, ridden by a genius, and she's got a touch of genius about her, so I'll stick with Enable. But like you, if Crystal Ocean went to sort of 4-1 or something ridiculous like that, I'd have to back him each way against her.
Dees?
Yeah, I think Enable is rock solid, but it's not a price I'd be playing at. I think that there's like Sam said, there's going to be plenty of horses there at massive prices on the day where you can get a small win bet and maybe a nice place bet, and if there's a three place market or a 4-place market, that's the way I go with it.
If only we'd all thought that about Sovereign in the Irish Derby, we'd be sat here. We might not even be doing this. It was a massive price. There you go. Right, let's kick on to the international stakes. It's 3 o'clock at Ascot. It's the Moët Chandon International Stakes, and a very good betting heat as well. History tells us that it's not a race for favourites necessarily. Some big old prices have won this in the past. Remember Stamp Hill a few years ago caused a right old shock. How's the market looking at the moment? Nice and open, me.
It is, yeah. There's a good few horses at around the same price now, so I'll just rattle off a few of them here. So you have Rip Off is the favourite at 10.0. Arbelay is 11.5. Big move on him all week. Then you have the likes of Vale of Kent, Raising Sand, Maxi, Mubage are all 15.0, 16.0. Spanish City is 16.0. Mubage, Roger Varian horse is 17.0. Blue Mist is 18.0, and big prices the rest.
Yeah, Arbelay for Matchbook ambassador Hugo Palmer, who's been banging the winners of late. Rip Off, I think possibly most likely to go off favourite. I put him up in the Bunbury Cup last time, and it just didn't set up to suit him, as it quite often doesn't. Sam, kick us off. Where are you looking in this race?
Well, just a little touch on Rip Off is that his yard are really, really quiet and subdued at the moment. There's a couple of horses I fancied from them in the last month, the Ellsworth team, and they just have just run rather subdued races. So that would be my slight concern with Rip Off, who's probably, and I know Mr. Delagi as well, regular Matchbook contributor, one of our favourite horses in training. And I did think there was a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel in his performance in the Bunbury Cup, actually. I thought that was one of his better efforts for a while, certainly from that yard as well. I think there's any host of horses you could fancy strongly here. I think the headgear on Spanish City is quite a good angle, it's drawn down the middle of the track as well. I know he never wins, but I think, we've seen with Roger Varian's horses in these quality handicaps like the Cape Bar and etc., that they travel like the wrath of God through the races. They're good quality horses, just getting the job done, sometimes a little bit beyond them. But I think the headgear for him is a very, very good move. And he ran another creditable race again at Newmarket a couple of weeks ago. I'm just going to go for something at a slightly bigger price, a Northern Raider called Queso, who, regular race watchers will be well familiar with, from the Nigel Tinkler yard. Nigel's horses the last 2 or 3 years have just gone through the roof, really. He's enjoying a rich vein of form again this year. Number of horses following up and building up sequences. Ginger Jam being the latest, obviously the sprinter at Beverley. And in Queso, obviously this horse last week at Doncaster was a really, really strong and emphatic winner of quite a warm little handicap. And he's obviously got good form at Ascot as well. He was third to Cape Bar in the Victoria Cup. And he tried to do something that has proved beyond sort of 75, 80 horses in the last 10 or 12 years. And that was make the running in a 7 furlong handicap at Ascot. I don't think there's any horse, bar Captain Ramius, in the last 10 or 12 years that has managed to do that. And he went on to win an Air Gold Cup, and that was in the ladies' race as well, where sometimes tactics can be used to good effect. In these stronger field handicaps, it's virtually impossible to do that, and he failed literally by half a length to a horse that went on to win a Wokingham pulling a handstands, and then was thought good enough to run in the July Cup. So I think that's a very, very strong piece of form. I think he's sort of 26, 27.0 for a stable that are in good form, and he goes very well for Holly Doyle as well, who I think is probably one of the best jocks riding around at the moment. She's definitely top 10 for me. She gets maximum out of her mounts, and she's been terrific in the last couple of years. So providing the draw isn't too much of a negative to be stand side tomorrow, I think that he'll go really well at a decent price, and a bit of juice in the ground won't hurt him either. So if the showers come, hopefully he'll go well.
Yeah, the rain's going to be interesting. There's certainly juice in the price. Dees, maybe you can confirm that price for Queso, and also give us your thoughts on the international.
Yeah, Queso is 27.0, so lovely price there for Sam. Queso was on my shortlist as well for the exact same reasons that that Sam said there. I think that well worth the bet. Again, I narrowed this down to about 9 horses.
Good work. I mean, single figure shortlist is brilliant in a race like this.
Yeah, 9. I think I'm the one I kind of fancy the most. I think I'll give 2 of them. I think Vela Kent and Maxime. They're both the same price. They're both about 14.5. Vela Kent has gone to try to emulate Bird Sugar last year and do the Bunbury Cup. Do the double with the Bunbury Cup. I thought he won very well that day. I thought Frankie gave him a great ride. He's only up 3 pounds. I think that's fair enough for it. I think he's in here off a nice weight. And Maxime as well. Maxime had a good win last week. I think he was unlucky the race before that. He got blocked in the rail. Again, showed no ill effects there last week. Won very well, up a few pounds. I think that he's coming in here on form. I think he's a good enough bet as well at about, he is 14.5 as well.
Good stuff, Dees. I'm going to keep you on your toes because I need a couple of match bet prices for the 2 fillies in the race, the ones at May.
Tom, could I just add one at a massive price? That I thought it's a complete, off the radar. But Another Bat was only beaten a length and a half by Sharjah Bridge in the Balmoral when trained by George Scott. Now he's gone to Richard Hughes now. He's only had 1 run. That was around Chester. But he's going to be a massive price and pretty unconsidered. And for a class horse that, not long ago won a very valuable handicap in Maidan when you were down there sucking your chops and topping up your tan, that strikes me as a very decent price, something 40, 50 along those lines for a horse that's got some tremendous, we're going north of 50, are we?
We're going, it's 60.0.
Okay.
Wow.
Lovely.
There you go. Just, that'd be worth a couple of shekels win and place for me at a big price.
I mean, but that's the thing about this race. It is a race which has been won by some huge prices in the past. You're looking 20, 50, 33, 33, 25, 40, all in the last 9 years. So I think it's worth having that in mind. Island of Life and Lush Life are the 2 I'm going to back. They're both the females in the race. They're drawn relatively middle. They both want to be ridden with cover. Island of Life is rated lower on turf, but her last 3 turf runs have been in Pattern Company. She drops back into a handicap. And Lush Life is a course and distance winner. Things haven't worked out her last couple of starts when she was certainly at Newcastle. She was thought that she was going to win and get in the Hunt Cup. It didn't work out. I'm not sure they're even going to go hard enough for here, but if she's a big enough price, she could be a best bet on the day for me, Lush Life. What are we looking at for those 2, please?
Lush Life is 26.0 and Island of Life is 38.0. Young Kieran Fallon on board.
Yeah, I think he's a good booking, and Charlie Bishop rides this horse well, who's on Lush now. She's got blinkers on for the first time. 26.0 is that's going to be my best bet on the day, Lush Life in that. Right, let's move on to elsewhere. We've put up about 9 horses for the we better find the winner. The Fav wins, we're not back on. Where do you want to start, Deasy? Do you want to start with the opener at Ascot? This is going to be my best bet of the day, I think. Good vibes. So David Evans' horse, I had the pleasure of being at York with you, Tom, the day that this horse won. What a day. Get it in a hurry, Dees. What a day.
What a day. As I said to you beforehand, I seem to be the only person at the course who didn't back this horse on the day. She absolutely balled it up. She skipped Ascot because of the ground. At York that day was rattling fast ground. I think it's good the form at the moment. You think there's going to be a bit of rain in Ascot, but it'll still be good enough ground. It's currently 11.0. Now there's a strong favourite in this race. It's going to go off odds on, I'd say. Summer Romance for Charlie Appleby, but I would give Good Vibes a great chance at a nice price at around 11.0.
Yeah, Summer Romance looks very good, but I Good Vibes, I'm a big fan. David Evans, the best horse he's ever trained, he says she is, so she has
really.
Sam, what about you?
What elsewhere on the
Elsewhere.
On the Ascot card, certainly. I think there's 1 or 2 interesting races later on the card. I mean, the Longines Handicap, the amateur rider race. I mean, this could throw up a nice double for Nigel Tinker, because you've got Normandy Barriere, a horse that saves a number of his best efforts for Ascot. Joanna Mason been booked, which I think is a smart move, and a good second behind Swindler last time. It was a horse that landed an almighty gamble for his connections that day. So probably Normandy Barriere bumped into a horse that was potentially very well handicapped, and there was no sort of disgrace in that defeat. He'd previously run well at Haydock on fast ground. I think he coped with a bit of dig. I don't think he wants it bottomless, but I think he coped with a bit of dig. I thought, Nigel Tinkler with his horses going as they are, he would make some appeal to me in that race.
Yeah, they are going along nicely, aren't they, Nigel? Last couple of weeks, he's banged in a fair few winners. I'm going to take us to a Newmarket, mentioned Infrastructure, who Rory and I put up here a few weeks ago when he won. Fortunately, he's only gone up £2 for that at Chester. Frawley's got form at that track before. He got a very confident ride on the day, and I think up in trip, only a couple of pounds higher. He's really well treated based upon his form from last year. Just watch the going because he wants quick ground, but I think this horse is a 100+ horse in the making, and the only reason he's not going to be my best bet is because I haven't got any prices yet, and I don't know what price he's going to be. There's some good horses in there. Charlie Appley's got a good one in there, so I'm hoping he doesn't head the market, but at the moment I'm not sure. But that is Infrastructure in the 4:35.
Just a quick point on that, Tom. Sorry, they had 7-0 yesterday afternoon, so it's good to soft in places at the moment with the odd shower threatened, but it can dry out very quickly, as we know.
Yeah, but to be honest, I didn't know that there's any soft mentioned. That's that I just watched that. If it's worse than good to soft in a place, that would seriously temper my enthusiasm. Won on good last time, but he definitely is better on a sounder surface. So thank you for that. Right, let's have a go at some best bets for Saturday afternoon. Sam, you're up first, sir. Who's your best bet on the Saturday card?
Well, I'll have to stick with Queso. I think it's a very fair price for a horse of his ability. Hopefully the stand-side rail isn't a dead rail, and there's plenty of pace alongside. I haven't completely investigated whether he's got a good gallop to run at there, but he'll be up there in the van anyway, and hopefully under Young Hollydore can give you a decent run for your money at a massive price. Yeah,
that's in the 3 o'clock at Ascot, the international stakes. There is pace right across the track, in truth. For all there's not bundles of it. I'm going to take you on, I'm afraid to say that, but 26.0, same sort of price, Disgrace. I know Lush Life in the first time blinkers. I think that she's got a race like she's a course and distance winner, and I think it'll set up ideally for her. She's a big price. Dees, go for a different race, please.
First race at Ascot, good vibes, a small win bet and a good chunky place bet, I think, at about 11 point dog. That should get you some money to lose on the lads' tips in the big race then at 3 o'clock.
Bit of positivity. We love that.
Good vibes, lads. Good vibes.
Good vibes, exactly. Yeah. Great stuff. Thanks very much to Sam and Mihal for our preview of an excellent Saturday card at Ascot and elsewhere. It's a belting King George. Really looking forward to it. Don't forget, we'll be previewing all the days next week. We've got Goodwood and Galway, so it's going to be a very, very busy week. And off the back of that, Ireland might have beaten England in the cricket, so who knows?
The rain might save us, Tom. The rain might save us.
Pray. We're praying.
What have we come to?
And Don and I will be in our Matchbit Racing review. We might cast an eye back to the King George at Ascot, but we'll be in the main looking forward to day one at Goodwood. So that'll be on Monday afternoon, and lots of previews throughout next week for all the G's with Goodwood and Galway. That is it, though, for the Matchbook Racing podcast for this weekend. Whatever you're playing, very best of luck. Bye for now.